So this video will be a way on how you can choose your main going into the War Within. So pretty much how would I choose my mains in the War Within? And I go with the notion or the well-known factor that I have multiple mains or alts. So I always go around 4 or maximum 5 classes, and then some classes do drop from season to season and I add other classes, but I try to play around 5 classes. And I would say that for me it is quite easy to maintain 5 classes because I'm very effective and I'm very efficient, but also I play often the game, so I would say I have enough time to be able to play multiple classes. But I would also say that the gearing process is also very quick, and I would say the hardest part, or at least the longest part, is actually gaining CR or MMR or whatever you want to actually achieve throughout your seasons that you're playing in the War Within. So I'll go with in mind that I want to play 4 classes. 4 classes with in mind probably 2 giga mains and then 2 side mains, alts you can call it like that. I play alts like all the time. This is like outside of my 4, I would say. But even then, I would say 4 classes where I do put my time a bit more in depth, and then I have like classes where I do play around or test it, or have a bit of feeling, so I do understand how those classes work in PvP. That's why I don't need weak auras to tell me what's going on my screen, because I play all classes. Like, I always test all the classes because I'm so interested for every single class. So I know the talents they are going for, the effects that they're going for, what buffs they are looking for whenever they're bursting, whenever are they just going for consistent damage and they're not really bursting. All those things, you can only know that if you play them or if you watch a lot of videos or you have like weak auras. And I despise having too many weak auras. The only thing I want to have on the weak aura is like tracking my own buffs, so I know whatever is going to have to be prepared for a burst, for example. So with that in mind, I want to have 4 classes, and in those classes, I would like to have 1 melee, 1 ranged. I would say 1 kind of a hybrid where it can do a bit of everything, so a healing spec or a DPS spec, sometimes even a tank spec, and a 4th one which is like a specialist, like something you are going to play to have like that little flavor, but also that is like a good complementary to the other specs around, or the other classes around your pool of mains. So how do I choose? So we have Arena, World PvP, we have BGs, we have solo queue BGs, we have solo shuffle, multiple things where I say, look, I want to be having fun. So obviously, if I'm picking, like, I'm going to say, which is kind of true, if I'm picking Enhancement Shaman, I know I'm not going to enjoy too much my solo queue RPG adventures because it is one of the classes that have the least amount of CC. It only has Hex, like as long CC. Then you have like micro CCs with Sunderer, where you can just like blast them away, knocking them away. You have Lightning Lasso, but you cannot really cap it with it, right? You have to Lightning Lasso channel it, and you're stunning someone for someone. But often, if you want to cap a node on solo queue RPG, you want to be able to see the enemy properly so you can actually cap it for 4 seconds and then you're going to fight around it, which I find in Enhanced Shaman not really good, the best, also well not the best in team fights, and in general you get kind of stomped on multiple 1v1s across the board. Like, you don't really have too many good matchups, and overall Enhanced Shaman is a good like spec going into the War Within, I think, but it's not really going to be very fun to play in solo queue RPG. So what I would like to have is a class where I do have fun in solo queue RPG. So ideally, I want to have a ranged class or spec. And then I'm like thinking, okay, we have Hunter, we have Mage, we have Priest, Warlock, to a certain extent Balanced Druid, we have Elemental Shaman, we have obviously Evoker, which again, big spoiler, it is not going to be my main. But what can I play which can offer me enough fun? And then I'm looking into the classes, right? I'm looking, look, mages have crazy good hero talents. I think the 3 specs are going to be fantastic. Also for soul shuffle, but also in 2v2 or 3v3, you can have also a lot of fun on mage as well. And you have also solo QRPGs, which effectively has a lot of like neat stuff, like for example ice wall. You can knock them ice wall and then you can easily cap it, for example. Or you can also polymorph, bait someone, dragon's breath. You can try to like destroy someone because they have no CDs, and you have multiple specs, so you cannot really get bored, right? So if you're bored of fire, you can just play frost. If you're bored of frost, you can even play arcane. So that's something I kind of like about mage. Then you have also warlock, which is a good contender as well. Like also great CC, has great damage. You can play like more of a I want to destroy you kind of feel, which is destruction warlock. You could also say, look, I want to rot everyone as an affliction warlock, or you can play around pets, which is also kind of flavorful with demonology warlock. So that itself is also very interesting. Then I'm thinking also like, look, I can play like a hybrid, which is elemental shaman, balance druid, or shadow priest, but am I going to spend the ranged spot that I want to give myself, because I have 4 characters, right? So I want to have melee, a ranged, a hybrid, and then a special, like a specialist kind of class. So me myself, I'm thinking like, look, shaman or priest or druid could I easily take the hybrid spot, right? Where I could like easily take one of them and feel good about it. But I prefer to have like a ranged DPS to be like solely focused around range. Then I also have Hansa, which I will be discussing a bit, but I think it's very hard for me to main one because it doesn't add too much flavor from Dragonflight to the War Within. Although the reworks are fantastic, don't get me wrong, I think that they are much better than in Dragonflight. I still think like it lacked that like kind of flavor to the class. So I'll be choosing, for example, between mage or warlock. Obviously, what I'm going to say on this video is like not going to be written in stone because I want to test also a lot of on the pre-patch. So I'll be make a video about like the tier list I will be giving to myself like on the mains and the alts department. But I would say right now with everything I have in mind, warlock is like a great class to main. So I would be maining warlock because I already know it. I played warlock for multiple seasons, got my first legend on warlock as well. And in general, I really appreciated the class because it has a lot of like neat interactions and neat specs that are and do feel different from each other. So I kind of like that as well. And then you have also mage, but for now I'm going to choose warlock. Now, again, sometimes you're tired of getting focused around, ragdolled around, pretty much focused and stopped at every single cast. And Warlock is going to be one of those classes that you want to train every single game, especially in solo shuffle. Although you can have fun with the controls that you can have as a Warlock, and you can also have fun with the multiple comps that are available to you in 3s, and you can even make it work in 2s. Sometimes you want to play a melee where you can just say, look, hands off, they're not going to focus me, and if there is like a mage or a warlock in my group, I'm not the one going to get like all the heat. I'm going to be the one that is trying to peel the ally, of course, but I'm not going to be the one like trying to run away from my life. Especially if you're facing melees. If you're facing like multiple classes, obviously it's not always going to be fun, but even for that, you always have an answer depending on the class that you're picking. And then when we are talking about like pure melees, we have obviously warrior, we have rogue, which I find it a bit of more of a specialist kind of class, so it's a bit hard to spend that melee spot for them. But and then you have also Retribution Paladin, which you can also see as a hybrid, which is a respectable melee DPS, obviously. But do you want to spend that melee spot for a Paladin that you could maybe spend it on a hybrid? Who knows? Then you have the same for Feral Druid, which is also a hybrid, which you could also spend on the hybrid spot instead of the melee spot. Then you have Enhancement Shaman, the same, also could be played on the hybrid spot. And then you have Windwalker, which in my opinion is nowhere near a hybrid. For me, it is just a purely melee spec. Obviously, it has healing, so that's cool, but it is a melee spec for me in essence. Then you have Death Knights, which are very cool as well. You have 2 DPS spec, 1 tank spec, kind of the same as a warrior, but feels different on multiple occasions. So if I'm choosing a melee, I want to be efficient in 2s, I want to be efficient in 3s, you want to be efficient in soul shuffle, you want to feel good in solo queue RPG as much as you can. And I would say that my choices would maybe lean on either warrior, death knight, and maybe even monk. And to be fair, the monk is really a big what if scenario because I never really mained one. Like I never actually mained one. It could be a serious experiment to actually try it out and play around it. I don't know if it's going to be something I want to do in the future. Maybe it's something I'm going to play around in the pre-patch and tell myself, look, give it a serious thought, a serious try, and see it for yourself. Is Windwalker something that you see yourself play in the near future? So I'm going to do that. But for now, I'm going to disregard it for this video. But I'll be coming back probably at the end of the pre-patch or like mid pre-patch where I'm going to decide my mains for War Within. I'm going to probably talk a bit more on Monk because I'm going to try it out and see for myself if I'm going to main one in the War Within. But right now we have Death Knight and Warrior. Obviously Survival Hunter, but for me, like I said, Hunter and Rogue and even I would say Feral Druid, they're like more of a specialist kind of role where you can find a spot as a class for that like particular sport. But like again, if you're thinking about like melee, I'm thinking about warrior, or I'm thinking about Death Knights. What I like about warrior is Fury and Arms are notoriously, at least one of those specs are relevant in PvP. Like they are often like even A tier or sometimes even S tier. Not always S tier, but it is often like a good class to play. In 2s, you can always find a healer to play around with and have fun with. In 3s, you are like one of the most versatile classes in the game where you can play multiple comps. And in social form, obviously you're not really the target most of the time and you're going to feel a easier time, a bit more uplifted shoulders, where you are like taking the backseat and you're trying to push for the victory with your damage or your peel. Solo RPGs, you're not really that efficient at movement. But I would say the same for DKs as well. I didn't talk about Demon Hunters because they're already out of questions for me, so I'm sorry for you guys, but I don't really like Demon Hunters. I wish they had like a second spec, like a second DPS spec, so I could maybe be tempted, but right now I'm not really tempted about Demon Hunters. But Warriors, they feel good because you have like Fury being like revamped into something that is coherent in the War Within, and the same for Arms Warrior, which is now stepping away from all that bleed build kind of shenanigans, which I never really liked in the first place. And now you can really play like a full mastery or full haste or even a full crit build and make it feel good, right? So I kind of like that. Then you have also Death Knight, and for once in expansions, I would say Frost Decay actually feels like a complete spec. They can still change a few things. I would say that they could just nerf mastery but give it back to the kit. I would also say like obliterate should be just frost damage at all times, and you can nerf it a bit so you don't really nuke every single time. But since then you would have like obliterate actually be meaningful outside of your Pillar of Frost. That's something I would do. Like take away that killing machine making it frost damage, just make killing machine making it crit. That's cool, like it was always supposed to be, and make obliterate like a pure frost damage ability with frost strike, so you have a mastery be effective at all times, so you do damage at all times, but it will be nerfed. Instead of like having like giga burst, you will have a bit more burst, but your consistent damage will be higher. That's something I would do right now. But I'm still okay with what they have right now, with dual wield being an option and also your two-hander being an option. Something I would like to have on my enhancement Shaman, but I don't have it. And I kind of like that Frost Decay right now. You have multiple builds going on. I already made a video about it and talked multiple times about it. I think Frost Decay is in the right spot. And I do feel like Season 1 will be a great season for Frost Decay. Now, is it going to stay like this? Obviously, DKs are like notoriously known to get like nerfed every single time. They're ragdolled between S tiers and D tiers pretty much. Like unholy DK is sometimes like a S tier for a whole patch, and then they go back into irrelevancy. And then you have Frost Decay being like a very big consistent C tier, which is not always going to be great in feeling. But right now, how I played in the War Within with the hero towns being there, and how Deathbringer feels very, very nice with the Reaper's Mark. I really like that. Um, I kind of like False Decay. And Unholy Decay, it has its charms, right? You have multiple builds as well. You have a pet build, you have like a disease build, you have like a instant like Death Coil, Clouding Shadows build. So that's still a thing. So that's quite interesting. And Blood Decay is always going to be like that niche thing that you can make work in PvP. It's not like the best spec, but obviously it's one of the specs where you're going to say, look, today I'm not gonna die, and it depends on my ally to die or not, but I am not going to die. So that's something you can feel and like have fun with, compared to other specs where you're like guaranteed to be a like focus. For example, Enhancer Shaman, Elemental Shaman, you know, Train Blue is always going to be a thing, right? So yeah, so Death Knight Warrior, Death Knight is more like grip people to you. Warrior is like you go to people. I do feel like Death Knight in the grand scheme of things has more mobility. And you would say, but why, Toguri? Like literally, you have multiple charges and leaps on Warrior. How would you think that Death Knights are actually more mobile? I would say that Death Knights are more mobile because they're like pretty much like having a complete anti-slow mechanic with defense vans, so you cannot be slowed more than 100% whenever you're popping it. And if you're playing like the Riders of the Apocalypse, you would even have a mount. But that aside, you have grips, which effectively negates the fact that you need like I would say mobility, but also you have an anti-root, or you have a def advance, which basically doesn't make you being able to knock away. So that's something as a warrior, if you're charging in into Elemental Shaman, you know already what is going to be happening. They're going to thunderstorm you, and then they're going to unshield you, unleash shield you, pushing you a second time away. And if you by miracle hit Elemental Shaman, they're going to static field totem you away to Narnia. So that's the thing that is going to happen for warrior. But for Death Knights, they have obviously the luxury to not have that. So you can just walk past a static field totem with just Death Advance, which is still a thing, and I think they're never going to be changing that. So for me, Death Knights are actually a very mobile spec class, and I know some people may think it's crazy, but like think about Death Knights and how they feel. You're never really getting outranged by anything, right? You're slowing someone, you're going to be catching up most of the time, and you have multiple things that makes you stick on the target. So a frost mage cannot really knock you off except if you're like not really def advancing. So it's two styles, right? Death Knights are very good in versus classes like any spec, like Frost Decay and also Unholy Decay, and Warrior on the other hand, they're very good versus melees, and I would say like more of a hybrid style without like any mobility. For example, a priest, they are like literally like food for them. Even hunters or warlocks also very much food for warriors in general, because warlocks have like finite mobility, and the same for hunter compared to a mage. Or a evoker, for example. But then you have like a shitty experience with evokers. So from what I've gathered, I do feel like I want to main Death Knights. Obviously, I'm going to test on the pre-patch. I'm going to do a lot of stuff and see for myself. But right now, I would say a melee DPS that I would play, and with everything in mind, and with like, again, I'm thinking like daily about like my mains and what I want to play in the War Within, because it's very important also for my content, but also important for me because I want to enjoy myself on the War Within. I think it's going to be an exceptional expansion, so I don't want to make the wrong move with the wrong class or spec. So for me, it's going to be Death Knight. I do feel like Frost Decay is going to be interesting to play around. I think Unholy Decay will be still interesting and will be always like kind of in the meta somehow, some way, because of the multiple comps available. In twos, it's not fantastic to play Decay, but you can always make it work as Unholy Decay. And you have always the kind of cheesy builds that you can play as a Blood Decay. So there's also that. So for me, Death Knight, very cool, very neat, and they have crazy good armor, good looking armor as well. Warrior as well, so that's not a problem, but Death Knight and Warlocks are my choices. And you already see the theme, like it's a bit of a shadowy theme, but then we're going to talk about the kind of hybrid specs. And whenever I'm talking about hybrid specs, I'm thinking about Priest, I'm thinking about Paladin, I'm thinking about the good old Druids, I'm thinking about Shamans. I'm not going to think about Monk because it's not really a hybrid in my eyes. But obviously, if I want to play a hybrid, I want to be also able to be healing if I want to. If my friends are going to say, look, I'm going to play DPS, and my other friend is saying, well, I want to play DPS right now, I don't care about healing because I want to be relaxed or whatever, then I am on the healing duty within my friend group, right? So if I'm on healing duty, I want to have fun with the hybrid of my choice that makes me able to heal correctly. And that's a difficult choice, but then because you want to have like a good healing spec, but it's not really the reason why you choose it. The reason why you choose that class is because of the DPS spec. So there is like that feeling of, am I going to compromise on it? Do I want to play like the best of both worlds? Although sometimes it is not available. Do I want to play a melee? Do I want to play a ranged? And then you have like those hybrids where you get a bit of both, like for example druid, shaman, you get like a melee and a ranged. But I would say druid is very tough to main in my eyes right now. I got like 2100 as a resto druid, which is impressive or not, to be fair. It is what it is. I got it in twos, I got it in soul shuffle. I think it's fun to play druid. I just think it's high maintenance on a lot of aspects. I do feel like I have to play like every single day druid to not like fall off, which again, if I'm choosing as a main, it's not a problem, but I plan to play other classes as well. So especially at the start of the season where you do want to concentrate on your classes to be able to be geared, to be able to be caught up. I don't know if I want to spend that much time on druid because again, I'm thinking about resto druid, but then I'm thinking about bronze druid, which I'm not really the biggest fan of anyways, and feral druid where it's really just a big like question mark on the fact that if I'm going to enjoy it on the war with it or not. Druid has been like one of those classes where I always mained in classic. Like even in 2019 classic, I played druid. In TBC, I played druid. In the war with in the Wrath of the Lich King, I played feral druid. Even in Cataclysm right now, I do play druid as well. So at the end of the day, do I want to stick with druid? Although like it is a fun class, don't get me wrong, I really like it, and the transmogs are like the transmog from the war within is sublime. I really like it, but I don't think I'm going to main one. Shadow Priest on the other hand looks very much insane. Like it feels so fun, and it is one of the classes where you tear your hair out of your system just basically because you're like the target every single game, especially in Soul Shuffle. They're going to not let you cast anything, and you have low mobility, which I'm going to be fair, sometimes it's very frustrating. I wish there was Door of Shadows from Shadowlands. They didn't actually add it for some reason. Like it's such a iconic ability, they decide to not add it on the game, which is really painful. They have like 2 healing specs, so you have more choices, and obviously with the metas going on and depending on the play styles, you can play both effectively and have fun. So that is also a choice. Then you have the good old shaman, which I already made multiple videos about enhancement shaman, multiple videos about elemental shaman. I didn't make a video about restoration shaman, but I'm also playing restoration shaman as well. It's a class I really liked, and since the dawn of times. See, since like original TBC, I played shaman within our like friend group, right? And whenever we were playing arenas, I was either playing elemental shaman because I really liked to throw like insane amount of chain lightnings, lightning bolts, lava burst in Wrath of the Lich King, for example. And then you have Cataclysm, where obviously my love for Shaman has increased. And then Mist of Pandaria, which I think is the best version of Shaman till today. Until right now. Obviously, we don't know if the War Within is going to be surpassing it or not. For now, in my eyes, not yet. But I really liked the epoch of Shaman, which is not really in my taste right now every single time. I am really liking the changes on Enhancement Shaman. I'm actually liking it. I'm still finding a few problems with it though, like not being able to have double Wind Fury, like enchants, seeing enhancer shaman actually just not really caring about imbues anymore, like the enchants on their weapons, like wind fury enchant, and the flame tongue and whatnot. We don't really have anything, not even a rock bite or nothing. It's really boring to not have like it being meaningful again. It feels a bit dumb where obviously it is RNG and obviously it is passive and obviously it's not really easy to balance, but it was like part of the fantasy of enhancement shaman, which I still have a lot of problems to stomach it. I still can't believe they are not getting those free W's just putting a two-hander in the weapons of enhancement shaman. I know it's very hard to implement it, but I think they would gain a lot of popularity, but also a lot of like greatness in my eyes towards enhancement shaman. They didn't do that, so it is what it is. Um, but I like what they are doing. So in multiple builds, you have multiple ways to play the game. But if I'm thinking about shaman, I'm going to be honest. In twos, it sucks. Like enhanced shaman, elemental shaman. Elemental shaman is a super dampening spec. I hate it actually to play in twos. It's not fun. It's really dampening. You play a resto druid, enhanced elemental shaman. Games are like 5 minutes standard. Like that's not always going to be fun. And you have enhancement shaman, which is really limited in threes. Like in threes, you don't really have a lot of good comms. You can make it work, you can make it fly, you can like wing it, but it's not always easy. It's really difficult for me. Like that's all the questions I have like in my head constantly. And then I'm thinking like, look, I'm having fun with the classes. It's not always going to be effective though. My viewership is also, I'm going to be honest, quite good for whenever I'm putting an enhancement shaman video or elemental shaman video. The viewership is actually supporting me as well. So I kind of want to give what the people want. It is what it is at the end of the day. Like YouTube is a hobby, but I also want to make it grow the hobby I like. So that's also like in the equation. And then I have like the problems where I do feel like it is a very random class to main every single season. You never know if it's going to be very good. Like you can make predictions, but how often like some tier lists from even pros, they put like enhancer shaman A tier, and then the other week they're going to say sorry, I misjudged it. It is D tier kind of feel, which kind of sucks to be fair. Because we all know how it is the situation we have in as enhancement shaman and elemental shaman. We still don't know if it's going to be good or not. I think the design is very good, but the balancing hasn't like happened yet. They're doing nothing about the balancing, so that kind of sucks. And I kind of am afraid for pre-patch and if they're going to do anything for the launch of the War Within. So for the shaman, I'm going to keep it as a joker. It's going to be always a class I'm always going to talk about. I'm going to make content about. But it's never going to be like the class where I do push rating on. Like I can push rating on like enhancer shaman, but I always despise the journey whenever I'm doing it because it feels really hard to just always be the target, always play with one behind. Some games I feel like, look, I'm playing enhancer shaman right now, but God, if I was a warrior on this lobby, I was going to wreck everyone. Or God, if I was playing warlock, I would actually survive that shit. So the things I'm telling myself whenever I'm playing enhancement shaman are not always going to be positive, but I also tell myself a lot of positive, cool things where I'm actually playing the class that has like a lot of skills, like skill ceiling. Like the skill ceiling is very, very high. Like it's very hard to play effectively enhancement shaman. I try to teach people that, but even I am no big damn, right? Big damn on the ladder like has 30 and has shamans on the top 30 pretty much. Um, so the skill ceiling is very hard. So I'm going to keep it at shaman being like on the side. Then we have like paladin and priest. I would say right now, if I have to choose, I really have to choose, I would say paladin because I think retribution paladin will be a blast. I think holy paladin will be kind of fun, and I kind of like holy paladin. I just despise to play versus classes because for some reason they decided to themselves it is okay to have Bob not being meaningful versus classes, and they keep on giving like BOS, so blessing of spell warding, to protection paladin and retribution paladin, but they keep on forgetting to put it on holy paladins as well. I swear, if holy paladins would get that, it would feel a lot better. I think just in general, you would not even need balancing. But right now, it feels like if you're facing versus classes, you get a big middle finger to you. Like, you have nothing on you. Like, you cannot do anything except heal that. And sometimes it is even hard to even move well across the map because you're going to get CC'd anyways. So, kind of a love-hate situation, but I do like Paladin, so I'm going to main Paladin the War Within, at least from this video. Again, I'm going to make a reassessation video a bit later on the pre-patch. But right now, if I have to choose, it would be DK melee, Paladin hybrid, and it would be Warlock as a caster DPS, and probably Shaman as a fifth main. I would say fifth main because then I'll be politically correct, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. It is going to be one of my mains. I don't think it's going to be the main where I'm playing every single day, but it's going to be a main of mine where I'm going to play as often as I can, but I'm going to despise probably 50% of my time. That's kind of the hate love relationship I have with Shaman, because every time I'm getting like focus, it feels like I'm doing nothing in those games. Like, I'm trying to survive for like, they keep on buffing our damage, but I wish they actually buffed our defensives, but they're not doing that. But or give burrow on the class tree, so we at least have a PvP talent extra. That would be cool. But I don't think they're going to do that. Or even grounding totem, to be fair. It could be also grounding totem being good in PvE as well. So it's very hard and very annoying. Maybe it's too overpowered, so I don't know. Then we have our specialist class. And whenever I'm talking special class, it would be Hunter, Rogue, Feral Druid, those kind of classes. So I kind of made up my mind on it. And it's because I really like it. I actually want to play Rogue. I want to main Rogue. I want to make a journey to main Rogue. I never really mained Rogue in the past, only in like team RPGs, because I had like a solid roster and I was the Rogue of the guild, pretty much. So that was fun. But I want to go back Rogue. I want to spend more time on Rogue. I want to be a specialist on Rogue. I'm never going to be a Peekaboo or a Nage, but I want to be like a Togre, right? I want to be a Rogue that is reliable, that is doing stuff, and is doing great stuff with it. Now, it's tough, because every time I'm saying like I want to main Rogue, but like at the end I don't do that, because subtlety always feels like kind of a meme, in the sense where you have to be like putting hours and hours on end to be able to be very good, or you are playing like a macro class where you're spamming one macro and you're kind of killing someone, which kind of sucks, to be fair, but those macros exist. Assassination Rogue feels always going to be nice. It's always going to be nice. I like Assassination Rogue. It's like multi-dotting. It feels like a Warlock, like a melee Warlock. So that's quite nice. And now Outlaw Rogue is like something I never really tested, I never really played as well. So maybe it would be the occasion in War Within to test those 3 specs and actually like enjoy myself. I did play on the beta on the Rogue. I actually, not gonna lie, I actually like it. I just don't like the hero tons. I think they are either undertuned, or it feels like you are shooting yourself in your foot most of the time, because it's really AoE focused and like M+ focused. But I like Rogue. So, not gonna lie, I'm gonna play Rogue. I'm gonna test in pre-patch again, but I kind of like the solo QRPG feel of it, where you're stealthed and you can do whatever you want. You can steal bases. You are like a nuisance to the enemy team. I think it's like the ultimate like BG class. It's so fun to be stealthed in general, and genuinely, it's also like, again, if I'm thinking about classic, and I have a lot of nostalgia because of the recent events I have, where again, it's one of the classes where I mained whenever I was very little. Like, I was like, it was 2004. I was 20 years. I was 9. Whoa. I was 9 years old. I played World of Warcraft. No, 2005, excuse me. I was 10 years old. I was 10, and I played Rogue, and it was, again, very fun, and I actually liked like the feeling of being like sneaky and even wall PvP and trying to like snag some kills. I always like that feel. So I'm going to play rogue, and this time I'm going to try to stick to it. I'm going to even level a new undead because I really like undead rogue. I think it's quite stylish, and also I think the rogue tier pieces are like fantastic. Like again, I'm going to show you guys. Rogue is like really cool. Like the tier pieces and how it is fantastic. And obviously right now it still seems like a clown kind of feel where I have like green, blue, and red. I think a full tier will be very cool to play around. So that's pretty much that video. Hopefully you kind of got inspired by it to do the exercise yourself. What I often did whenever I was like working, I'm going to go back working very soon though. It was like I had like a spreadsheet, and in break times, whenever I felt that like I didn't want to socialize or I didn't want to move from my seat because like I can't be bothered, for example. Um, I had a spreadsheet and writing like the pros and cons of every single class in spec, and the time I would spend to get better. I would also have like a column where I have all the inspirations of the specs and classes from people I can look to get better. For example, like I always like the min max mentality without min maxing, right? I like the fantasy, like thinking and try to have the mental game. Like whenever I did rugby, I watched like multiple videos like every single day to improve my rugby game, just purely with videos, purely with highlight reels. And I actually like that kind of the thinking process. Everything I do in my life is like pretty much like overthinking, but also like enjoying that overthinking most of the time. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Again, hopefully pre-patch is going to be awesome to play for a bit, and then the War Within will come out, and that will be fantastic. Trust me, I think we're eating good with World of Warcraft. We have like multiple choices. We have Classic, we have Cataclysm, we have SOD if you want to. You have also Retail, which I find the best version right now out of all the versions. And I'm actually enjoying PvP a lot, so hopefully you guys as well. Again, thank you for watching the video, and I will see each other. Well, we will see each other pretty soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.